Let's make this 16-liter backpacking food bag. It is a rectangle. It fits nicely in ultralight backpacks. It opens at the top. It's great. It's also one of the easiest sewing projects I've ever done. You need 3 rectangles of fabric, 2 21-inch by 8-inch rectangles, and 1 21-inch by 16-inch rectangle. I'm using this lovely lavender eco pack. You can use Dyneema Cuban fiber, whatever you want. You'll also need about 56 inches of gross grain ribbon as the binding and a 23-inch zipper. I'm using a number 8 zipper. You can use whatever zipper you want, and you'll need a zipper pull. And first you want to put the zipper pull onto the zipper. If you have trouble with this, there's a way to do it using a fork. There's tutorials online if you want to try that. It makes it a little bit easier. Now you're going to take your big rectangle of fabric and you're going to use your ruler to make a line that is 4 inches in and 4 inches from the bottom, and then you're going to connect that to the corner with a diagonal line. So just, go 4 inches from the bottom and 4 inches from the side, draw your line, draw your diagonal line, and use tailor's chalk or a pencil, whatever you have, on the right side of the fabric. We are doing this on the right side of the fabric, not the wrong side, the right side. Then you'll end up with a rectangle that looks like this. And then we are going to take one of those corners, we're going to turn it over to the wrong side of the fabric. We're going to get our clips. We're going to fold up the corner here to one of the lines that you just drew. You're going to fold it on that line, and then you're going to fold that corner in on the other line. Make sure that lines up real good. Make it nice and tidy there. Get real neat, and then you're going to add some clips just to hold it in place there so that you can sew it in a minute. And then you're going to do all the corners the same way. Fold each one up using that bottom white line and then the inner white line, and then putting some clips on there. Then you're going to go around, and in the end you're going to end up with what looks like a little paper boat made out of EcoPack. Isn't that just nice? You're going to sew along the inside with 3/8 inch seam allowance. This is you're just going to sew on the ends where you folded it, and this is just to hold it in place while you work with it. So 3/8 inch, so this seam is going to be covered up later. You're going to do that on both ends, and you're going to end up with this is going to be the bottom of your bag. You're going to take one of the smaller rectangles, and you're going to fold it in half, and you're going to cut a tiny notch right in that halfway point on both rectangles. And then you're going to take your zipper, you're going to fold it in half, you're going to cut a notch on both sides. Use the tip of your scissors. The tip of these scissors is ruined, so I'm using the inside, but the tip makes a lot more sense for this. Now you're going to take the right side of your zipper and you're going to match it up with the right side of your rectangle, match the notches there, and you're going to add some clips all along to make it nice and tidy. You're going to put the zipper foot on your sewing machine. This is not a zipper foot, but it's what I use. It works. I don't actually know what it is. And you're going to sew close to the zipper with a small stitch. Make sure and back stitch at the beginning and the end. And if your zipper pull gets in the way, just pause, lift up the presser foot while keeping the needle in the zipper. Move the zipper foot, put the presser foot back down, and keep going. And just take your time and try and make this nice and neat. And now you will have a zipper that looks like this, and you can fold it over towards the wrong side of the fabric to get this fold on the back. And we are going to top stitch on the top close to the zipper, right on the edge of that purple fabric, the purple EcoPack. I'm using purple thread here, but you can use a contrasting thread if you want, because top stitching can look really nice. Make sure and back stitch at the beginning and the end. Use a small stitch and just go really slow as you go. Pull the fabric away from the zipper to make sure it's not bunching up underneath, and make sure it stays like nice and flat, and just take your time and back stitch at the end. You're going to end up with this. Isn't that nice? Doesn't that look so nice? I just think zippers look so nice, and they're not that hard. Now you're going to take the right side of your remaining rectangle, and you're going to match it with the other right side of your zipper, and you're going to put some clips to hold it there, and you're going to do the same thing, and you're going to sew close to the zipper on the wrong side of the fabric of the remaining rectangle. Just, feel it with your fingers as you go to make sure that the zipper foot is close to the zipper, and take your time. And now we're going to fold that back and top stitch it the same way we did the other side, making this fold on the wrong side of the zipper, and then stitching close to the edge of the purple fabric here, and just making a nice, neat top stitch. Take your time, pull it smooth as you go, like you did with the other side, and just go slow with this one. And then you'll end up with this beautiful top of your bag. Doesn't look so nice. Now you're going to cut off the excess ends of the zipper, make that nice and neat, And you're going to draw lines on the corners the same way you did with the bottom of the bag. You're going to make a line 4 inches in and 4 inches up and a diagonal going to the corner, and you're going to fold those the same way we did with the first one and clip them, and then you're going to sew along the inside the same way we did with the other side of the bag using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. And you're going to take 2 8-inch pieces of gross grain ribbon, and you are going to burn the ends with a lighter so they don't fray later on. And you are going to take your bag and measure out from the point where those 2 triangles meet. You're going to use your tape measure or ruler to measure out 2.5 inches, and you're going to make a little mark with a Sharpie there, and then you're going to go to the other side, line it up, measure out 2.5 inches, and make a little mark with your Sharpie. And then you're going to take your gross grain ribbon, and those lines are where the outer edge of the side of the gross grain ribbon is going to sit. So go ahead and line it up and clip it in place. Do the other side the same way, then put a couple stitches in those to hold them. Now you're going to have the zipper side inside out and the non-zipper side right side out, and you're going to nest those inside each other with the handles folded inside. Make sure you have the zipper side inside out, the non-zipper side right side out nested inside the zipper side, and then you're going to line up the edges and clip that in place, put some clips all around. Now you're going to sew all around the edge of that with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Just sew right around that, and take your time. Make sure things stay lined up as you sew. Just go slow and do a small stitch, make sure, and back stitch at the beginning and the end. Again, use a 1/2 inch seam allowance for this part. And I also like to go an extra few times over where the zipper is, like back and forth, maybe 4 or 5 times where the zipper connects, and also a few extra times where the gross grain handle is in, maybe like 3 or 4 times for each end of the gross grain handle, just to give it some extra reinforcement, because those places are going to get the most wear and tear. Now you're going to take your gross grain ribbon, you're going to put all the way around that inside edge, and you're going to clip it in place, first burning the end so it doesn't fray, and then use as many clips as you need here. Clips are your friend. This is the hardest part. Sewing this binding is going to be the hardest part of the entire project. So just take your time. Make sure it's the same width on both sides so that it'll be easy to match up the stitching when you're sewing it. Put a ton of clips in there, and then overlap the 2 ends. Burn that final end, fold it over, add another clip. Now you're going to take this over to your sewing machine, and you are going to sew all the way along the edge of the gross grain ribbon binding, and just take your time. Make sure as you go that you're catching both sides of the binding. Just go slow. You can use your finger as you sew to hold the ribbon close to the fabric so it doesn't slip off. And this is definitely the slowest part of the whole project, so just, take as long as you need. There might be parts afterwards where you missed both edges and you have to go back over. That's okay. Just try to be patient, and eventually you'll get there and you'll end up with this beautiful thing. Now we get to turn it inside out. So push your zipper open from the outside, which I forgot to leave the zipper open. So this is what I'm doing. And then turn it inside out. You get to reveal our beautiful, glorious food bag that is going to be so amazing. And everyone's going to be so jealous, because while they're digging through a deep cylindrical bag, we'll have this beautiful bag that we can just open on top that fits right in our pack horizontally. And how amazing is that? And look at this binding. The binding is so beautiful. You did such a good job. Congratulations.